Welcome to the Christian Business Concepts with your host, Harold Milby. Christian Business Concepts is dedicated to guiding companies and business owners in becoming effective, efficient, and successful through God's Word and godly principles. Now, here's your host, Harold Milby.
Well, welcome, everyone, to this week's Christian Business Concepts podcast. We want to thank you for downloading this episode, and we're excited that you're a part of the CBC family. And, every week here at CBC, we try to bring you a topic in our podcast that both encourages you and it also enlightens you and empowers you. You know, our vision here at CBC is to help people find true godly success by sharing different biblical principles that will help you apply those things to your business to help you to become a better business leader and to have a more successful business. And I'm very, very glad that you're here today, very excited about it. So we have some guests with us today, and we're excited about that as well. I have my wonderful wife with me again, and she's on the podcast with me.
Hi, folks. It's good to be back, and hope you all enjoy today's podcast and that it speaks to you. And there's some tidbits, nuggets that you can take away for your own business and personal life.
That's right. So we appreciate that and glad that you're here. And also have the owner of Robins Pups. Again, Robins Pups. Her name is Robin Nunn, and she's with us today. So we want to thank her for being on the podcast today as we talk about some things. So thank you for being here.
Yes. Thank you for inviting me.
Robin, why don't we start off the podcast with you telling us a little bit about your company, your business?
Well, my company's name is Robins Pups of Florida, and we're located in Hudson, Florida. And it's basically the pet industry, obviously, and I'm a breeder. We specialize in small dogs. We also specialize in training.
Okay. All right. That's great. So Robins Pups, where are you guys located?
In Hudson, which is right on the outside of Tampa.
So you're here in Florida?
Yep.
So I'm in the studio here in Florida, and so decided to have her come. So how long have you been doing this?
Since 2000.
Since 2000, so over 24
years. Yeah, long time.
Wow, that's great. Share a little bit more about what led you to kind of start your business.
This started in 1999, actually, when we wanted a specific dog breed for our family, and I couldn't find a reputable breeder anywhere. I looked for over a year. I was just really frustrated in that search. So, since I love dogs, I started researching breeding and decided I'm going to try to start off small and maybe give it a try for myself and see how it goes. So that's actually how it really kind of started.
So you were looking for were you looking for not just a certain breed, but were you looking for or to receive a type of service or services that the breeder would offer you? What were some of the things you were looking for within these breeders that you were looking at?
Basically, just to give us some, good information about what kind of breed it is. Like, we were looking for a specific breed, and we were like, can you give us more information? Well, most of the breeders were not very informative. They didn't really give us much information. They basically wanted to just say, hey, here's a dog. This is how much we want. We'll meet you on the side of the road and give you your puppy. And that just wasn't good for me. I thought that was a terrible practice.
Yeah. So kind of a lot of unprofessionalism?
Yes, lots of unprofessionalism. Okay. I didn't even consider it almost like businesses. It was just like people going, oh, I got some puppies. You want to buy one? And I just thought that was not what we should be having.
Like somebody sitting at a rest area with a box in the back of their car that says, I got some puppies for sale.
Yeah,
you want one?
Here you go.
Yeah.
Just felt that was terrible. So.
Well, the thing I do know about your business, it's a very professional business. The way you run your business, the way you operate your kennels, you're certainly not. I mean, I've been to your kennels, I've been to your business. You are definitely not what they consider to be a puppy mill. That's not what you do in your business. This is very personalized. you take very good care of the dogs that you have, and the mothers and the dads, you know those dogs.
Yes.
They're your dogs, and
They're
so
my dogs.
you're not using other people to breed dogs for you to sell. You're actually you deal with the mother, you deal with the dad, you have them, you take care of them, you watch over them. So it's a very professional endeavor to you.
Yes. It's like we also are a licensed kennel as well, so we are, we want to be above and board about what we do. We want that to be out there, that people know that we're not just somebody raising dogs. We
Okay.
answer to somebody.
Yeah, great.
Okay, and it's been 24 years now.
Yes, 24
So
years.
from the start, the onset of your business and how it's grown, do you feel like there's a greater purpose now to your business besides what it was when you first started?
Yes, actually, this became a bigger purpose as I developed it. I didn't really know that in the beginning, but as I developed what I wanted to breed, I saw a bigger purpose. There was others getting a great little dog. I wanted to give them a great little dog. People wanted something that I felt like I could offer. And I found not in over 24 years ago, there was just nothing like that out there. Nothing.
Right.
Breeders seemed to just sell you puppies, but didn't give people the information they needed to be successful with a new puppy, leaving families frustrated and wishing they hadn't adopted a new puppy. And then what happens to those puppies? They go right back into our system, which is overloaded already with unwanted pets.
Yes.
And we wanted to stop that. We wanted to, if people had the right information, trained their dogs the way they should, and learned all the information they could get, then they will be successful.
So it's like putting the right tools in your customers' hands, and that creates a really good business person and a way to do good business.
Yes, absolutely.
Equipping the people.
Yes, equipping the people with what they needed to be successful in raising a new puppy.
Right.
So you weren't just, my thing when I look at business, when I see product, and I hate to call a puppy a product, but in the basic sense of the word, it really is kind of your product of what
Yes.
you're selling. But what you're not selling a puppy, you're selling really joy, you're selling fulfillment, you're selling a relationship, with an animal. So
In
you
addition
don't.
to the family.
Yeah, in addition to the family, that's right. Because the pet business, the pet industry right now is a close to a $5 billion a year industry. It's huge.
It is huge.
And it continues to grow. There's companies like Chewy and many others that are out there that have been built because people love their animals so much. And so having a professional breeder that can help give all of that information. Now, I remember, and I know we didn't talk about this, but I remember that you also wrote a book. Tell me a little bit about the book that you wrote.
I wrote a book. It was called. It was about my husband's dog, actually, and so I wrote this book because the dog was so important in our lives. That's why we started looking for a new dog, because that dog lived to be 18 years old, and we wanted another dog like it. But they were very unpopular at that time, so we wanted to find another one. And the book was just something I wanted to write about how important that dog was, which also led to wanting to do things better as well, because without the dog, my husband wouldn't be here today. That dog saved his life, and he wasn't taught to do that. He was just well behaved because he had a good family that worked with him and taught him all the right things. So that book was very informative and very enlightening to me, and how important it is to have a dog. It is a part of your family. It's supposed to be just like your children almost, but not really. I mean, I guess it is an animal, but you want it to be very much a part of your family and raised and loved and cared for. And so that's how the book got created.
Now, most of the dogs that you breed, they are mostly hyperallergenic, right?
Yes.
Okay. So tell us the breeds that you sell right now.
We sell all mixed breeds, which are cockapoos, maltipoos, malshipoos, and sheepoos. And we specifically do those sizes because people need something small. Some people need a little bigger. They like a little bit more size to them, a little meatier.
Right.
So the cockapoo being the biggest, and then like the maltipoos, sheepoos being a little bit on the smaller side. So they average anywhere from 12 to 25 pounds total. So a nice sized dog. They don't shed. So that's always really good. And people who are major allergy sufferers, this is really good for them because they
Right,
can have a
because
dog, and
they're-
sometimes they couldn't have a dog in the past.
Right, because they're allergic to it.
Yes, they're allergic.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So that was again a part of your vision and what you wanted to do is provide
Yes.
those kinds of dogs.
Yeah.
So you've built this business, you've done it for 24 years, and you've had challenges along the way. Kind of maybe share a little bit of those challenges and how you've had to deal with some of those things.
Probably the biggest challenge was getting people past the concept that I just breed animals. That, they're just animals and it's not that big a deal. I love my animals and they are greatly cared for, not just physically but mentally. In the beginning, getting people to get that understanding that I'm just not a breeder that just raises dogs. That it's a puppy and it's important that you raise it the right way. People just didn't grow up in that kind of mindset, 20 some years ago. You just didn't hear of that. So that was kind of a big hurdle to get over, to let them know that, a trained puppy is a happy puppy. I was like, and then you will have a well-behaved dog for the rest of its life, and you won't want to ever get rid of it.
Well, the one thing I do know is that you work hard to train your puppies. You were one of the first, I think you said, that trained, puppies. You crate train them so that they know at night they go to the crate, they don't scream and holler. So that's a service that you also offer. And so you have these additional things that you offer, and so this business that you started, you've come a long way, and you've added things along the way as you've
Yes.
seen the need for them. So I think, in business, I think one of the things that we fail to realize is that we have to look and see what the public wants and what they need, and then be willing to make changes within our business to offer those specific things so that we can meet the needs of that customer. And I just think that's what helps to make companies successful.
Right. I agree with that. And Robin, through the onset of your company and the growth of the company, the challenges that you faced, and how did your relationship with the Lord affect all those things?
At times, you're struggling at times because you're like, you want to do what you feel like the Lord wanted you to do. And that was a big challenge because you get a lot of naysayers. A lot of people, and they can be friends, they can be, your family, whoever that is,
Right.
and they would say things like, oh, you're not going to make any money, you're going to be broke, what are you doing, this is dumb. They don't mean to be mean, but, they would come across that way. So, you just pray more and just trust the Lord, and that's hard sometimes because it
those
questions
negative
you.
words
Yes.
can really
It
kind
hurts
of
you.
kick in.
It kicks
too,
in, and then you
it's
start-
like,
Dominates
I
your
gotta fight through
thoughts.
that.
Yeah,
you
you
do. You got to
question.
fight through the negative thoughts.
You do.
sometimes.
You question everything you're doing. It only takes one sentence for you to
That's
go,
right, yeah.
well, gosh, am I missing it?
Right.
Did I mess up? So yeah, it was very much a challenge. It was hard for me to do in the beginning. But I really also know that my relationship with the Lord just became stronger because the more I honed in and pushed in, the more I knew I was doing the right thing. I didn't
Right.
listen to the people. I just knew in my heart that this is what God's called me to do. For whatever reason, it sounds weird to some people, but for me, I knew I was doing the right thing. He took my passion for animals, especially dogs, and turned it into something good.
Yeah, and there may be some of you out there who's listening to this who may be facing some of the same challenges. Maybe your service isn't, what Robin's doing, dogs, but those naysayers and the negative words and brings confusion into your life, and those things are hurdles sometimes to overcome.
Yeah.
But when you focus and you go back to, what did the Lord say?
Right.
And you hang on to those
You go back to that
words.
vision.
That's
Yes.
absolutely right.
I've always said and talked about vision, how important vision is, because when you have a vision and that's the vision for your business, and especially as a Christian business, you really know that that's what the Lord has directed you to do, and you know that you know that you know, so that you have a vision. When you go through the tough times, you go back to the vision.
That's right.
Yes.
You go back, and that kind of gives you a center. It kind of gives you that stability.
That anchor.
Yeah,
that
the
you need.
anchor. The
It's
anchor is a good word for it. So you get that anchor to hang on to your business, and to continue, even though there's these negative people who basically they have a hard time being successful on their own. So when they see somebody that's trying to be successful, a lot of times they'll try to drag them down, and sometimes that's even subconsciously. They don't mean to do it on purpose, but they
Right.
do. And so I think that's important. And one of the things that really stands out about your business to me, because you and I have talked over the years about your business and its growth, but one of the things that we've always talked about is how you have grown and developed so much favor with your clients and customers. And, do you feel that the reason that you have favor with your customers is related to the favor of God that you have? Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, absolutely. I remember when the Lord spoke to me and told me, of course, it had been a few years, and of course, you worked and struggled, but he spoke to me specifically to my heart, and he said, trust me, and you will see my blessings. And every time I would struggle, with whatever the case may be, you're getting frustrated, I would remember that. I would always go back to that. And then I started seeing my customer base was growing and growing, and word of mouth. All these things started to come to play. Many of them Christian people. Many of them go, oh, I heard about you from so-and-so. And that just kept growing and growing. And every time that happened, you just knew that God's hand was on it. Mm-hmm. There was just too many things that you can't do this business for 24 years and not know that the Lord's hand is upon your business. There's no way to do it.
Right. And when you know that, and then your reputation precedes you. Because the word says in Proverbs, a good name is better to be chosen than great riches.
Yes.
And as a business owner, you can't, a good name is something that you need to have to go before you.
Yes, absolutely.
And because it speaks of who you are, it speaks of what you do.
Yeah. You won't last long in
character.
business without it.
Mm-mm. Absolutely not.
Nope. And I've took great strides to make sure that even if I think they're in the wrong,
right?
It doesn't matter. I want to make sure my clients are happy to the best of my ability.
Right.
I mean, I realize you can't make everybody happy all the time,
right.
But we try really hard to make sure I'm getting good reviews. My customers are happy. They can call me anytime. Sometimes they talk to me for months in advance, and we have that kind of rapport. They can text me, email me, whatever they want to do. We set up phone conferences if we need to help. But building that rapport was building my name up, and I have done that, and it has been very successful. And I know that's the Lord. That's not me.
Yes. Do you think that every believer can have the favor of God on them?
Absolutely. If they don't believe that, then they just don't understand. It's because there's no way that God's no respecter of persons. He tells us that.
Yeah.
Right.
And so if I can have the favor of God, so can every other believer.
Right.
There is absolutely no reason that their business cannot be successful too.
Right.
I was so yes, I believe that with wholeheartedness.
I always think about that scripture that talks about that his favor surrounds me like a shield.
Mm-hmm.
And it really does kind of become a shield. When you have God's favor in your life, there's so many positive things that happen. And then I think as well that this favor is something that everybody can expect. But why do you feel that way? I mean, why do you feel that everybody can expect and should expect the favor of God?
It's one of my scriptures that I always liked, and of course, people kind of laugh at this because it has to do with animals, but it is true. In Luke 12:24, it says, "Consider the ravens. They do not sow or they don't reap. They have no storeroom or barn, yet God feeds them, and how much more valuable we are than the birds." This reminds me, as parents, we give our kids things all the time. For what reason? They don't got to ask for anything. We do it because they're our children,
right.
And they have higher favor in our lives than the average person.
Yes.
So if we do that with our children, how much more so does the Lord do that for us? I mean, He cares about the birds, for goodness sake.
Yes.
He cares about the animals. He cares about it all. So if that's the case, we are a higher hierarchy than that. So obviously, we know each and every one of us have the favor of God that we can count on in our lives. Absolutely no doubt about it. It just gives me great joy to even think about that.
Right.
That you don't have to sit there wondering, well, you know what, I don't know. Yes, you do know. I mean, the Word says so. That right there just explains something so simple
that
as
one scripture
alone.
Right.
It says it all.
And I've had a podcast that we've talked about favor. just that topic alone. And there's so many passages in the Word of God, both in the New Testament and Old Testament, talk about the expectation that we can have for God's favor. I think that's important. And, as a business owner, I believe that God expects us to expect what His Word says. But that also means that we need to be operating in these biblical principles, even in our business. And I've always talked about the difference between it being a Christian-owned business and being a Christian-run business. Those are two different things. But when you operate your business with biblical principles, you are a Christian-run business. So in other words, there's things that we have to do. In other words, we know that we have God's favor, but there's still things in a business that we can do. So tell us some of the things that you do in the business to help build that loyalty and that favor of your clients, because you have people that buy multiple dogs from you over the years, because you've been in business for 24 years. So therefore, you've got people whose dogs have died, and they've come back to you again and gotten another dog, or they've referred you to so many different people. So tell us a little bit about what you do to gain and build favor with your customers and clients.
I believe in treating people the way you want to be treated. I was like, and that doesn't just go at church. We can go to church and, it's expected.
Right.
But when you go to a business, you don't necessarily expect that. You don't know how they're going to treat you or not treat you. Well, I want that extension to go past that. I want that to be when I go talk to a customer, if 10 years from now they talk to me, they get the same Robin. They get the same person. They're not going to get a different one. And so some of those things that I do is listening to my clients, their concerns, what do they expect? And I answer every question that they have. Though, of course, over time, my goodness, they could be waiting for months sometimes, but they still get the same, type of treatment that they would have any other time.
Right.
So I'm very honest with them as well. If I don't think I can provide what they need, and sometimes that's the case, then I refer them to someone else even. If I think they'll do better with someone else. If I don't think they're ready, I will be honest and tell them that I'm not quite sure you're ready for a dog right now, because I want them to go, oh, wow, you could have just sold me a puppy, but you didn't. Right. No, I'm not. I really care about you as a person, because we should. We should care about people in general, not just because they're a customer. We should care about them as human beings. Listen to their hearts. Listen to what they say. I just think that's important, to build a good clientele. So, and lastly, I'll offer them every option to be successful with their new pup. That's just really, really important. So I think that's helped me build a really good clientele as well.
Well, I know that you offer more benefits to your clients than what a lot of competitors offer. I know you take pictures of the dogs when they're born, and in 2 or 3 weeks, and because people, a lot of times, they've already purchased the pup before the pup is ever born.
Yes.
So a lot of times your litters are sold before they're born.
Before they're born.
And so they want to see these dogs. They want to see pictures. And so you're pretty tedious about taking pictures, taking videos as they go through their process, because the parents, we'll call them that, don't get to take their puppy home until the puppy's 8 weeks old.
That's right.
And so they want to see pictures in between and watch the puppy develop and watch the personality start to come out. And of course, as you've shared with me, that most animals, or puppies, they don't really get a personality until they get into their home environment.
Yes.
Because the home environment is really what develops their personality. And so you do some of those things, but what are some of the other benefits that you offer to your customers that your competitors do not?
For one, we're one of the few people who do training with a young pup of 8 weeks. Most even training places won't work with a puppy that young. So I saw that was a large gap that could be honed in on, because that's a young age and they need to learn right away. They can learn. We start them as young as 6 weeks, even, in their care, teaching them to go outside with their mom, learning to sleep without their mom, just little simple things before we even attempt to start crate training, and then on to extended training, which is, teaching them other things such as coming when called and sitting on command, and, just being all the things that a dog needs to learn that first few weeks, which makes such a huge difference in them being a successful puppy. So that's something the other businesses and my other competitors don't do. There's very few.
Well, it sounds like that you work really hard at creating customer service I use the word customer delight because we're trying to delight our customers, but customer service, same thing. Do you feel like that you can expect God? I mean, can you expect God to bless your efforts of what you do? Do you feel like that you can expect God to bless your work and bless the work that you do?
He's already done that, and he continues to do it all the time. I mean, every time I get a new phone call from somebody, I heard about you from somebody else. It's just another person that's showing the blessings that God gave me with this business 24 years ago. So absolutely, I do believe I could not possibly have pulled all of this off on my own. So I can absolutely expect him to bless me over and over and over again.
Great.
Yes, and that takes us right back to the favor of God on our life.
Yes.
Now, in your thoughts, why do you think that there are some people who struggle with having the favor of God in their life and in their business?
My thinking on that is that they don't understand their own self-worth and their own importance to God. He loves us.
That's
he
good.
wants to show us favor.
Right.
Yeah.
But we often feel our businesses are not connected to our personal life, but that's just not true.
Right.
It's all intertwined, and we often think, oh, well, I just got to work really hard to be successful. Well, yeah, you do. You got to work hard. That's not even a question. However, there is so much more to it than that. It's trusting the Lord to be a part of your business as much as you trust him to be in your life. It's all the same.
Yeah, that's good
there's
advice.
there's no difference. They're exactly the same. You're just working a business, but you want that same favor from God, and he will give that to you.
Yes.
In your business as much as your personal life.
Well, we're almost out of time, but I did want to save time because I always ask business owners this question at the end of the podcast. What advice do you have for business owners, business leaders, leaders of organizations? What's your advice to help them create really good customer service?
Be kind, understanding, listening to your client, listening to what they want. Let them know that they're appreciated. That's a big one. And thank them always for choosing you, because let's be honest, they could go anywhere.
Right.
So you really want to show them that appreciation. And for me, it's always go above and beyond. Not because I have to. I don't have to do that. But it's because I want to show the love of God in everything that I do. Because it's what he expects from me. He expects that from me as a Christian, and I need to do that.
Yes.
So I really think that's good to show as a Christian business. You need to show that in your business.
Right.
So
And you have customers and clients all over the country.
I do, and some internationally.
And so you've actually you have a delivery service as
I
well,
do.
where you deliver pups to the client. Really, no matter where they're at. I mean,
Yes.
it's a matter of cost, obviously, to deliver the dog, but you do that. So what's your website?
It's robinspups.com.
So Robins, ROBINS Pups, PUPS.com. So if any of you that are listening to this are looking for a great dog by a great breeder, I think you'll be very happy for what you find on robinspups.com. And I would encourage you to go on there and look. And I think you've got a few pups for sale right now that haven't sold yet, right?
Just a
so
few.
they could go
Not very
on.
many.
And not very many. You've got a few. But you could go on there and you can see pictures of the pups and you can ask questions. And there's a lot of great information on your website. You got a lot of great resources on your website as well. And she'll help you to become a very, very successful pet owner. I believe that. So thanks, both of you again. Mimi, thank you for being here with us too.
Absolutely.
And thank you, Robin, for
Yes,
being here.
Robin.
Thank you for
And we're
inviting me.
so very glad that you were a part of this week's podcast. Folks, we just want to thank you for listening today, and be sure to share this podcast with 4 or 5 other people and help us to grow this podcast, continue to grow. We have people that are listening to this podcast in literally over 30 countries right now, and we're excited about that. It's very humbling, but we're very excited about that. So please be a part of that. And as we leave you today, I just want to remind you to always remember that Jesus is Lord, and he wants you blessed.
Thank you for for tuning into this week's Christian Business Concepts podcast. Go to ChristianBusinessConcepts.com for more information and resources. Be sure to check out other podcasts that will help you take your business and your personal life to a whole new level of success.